Okay, students, this lecture is on Unit 4 on the topic The Daffodils, which is a poem by William Wordsworth. And this is in your book on page 33. It is a very beautiful poem and very famous poem because its author, its poet, is also very much famous, and he is known as the poet of nature. But before coming to the poem, we should ask a few questions. First, that what is a poem? Or what is a stanza? Who was William Wordsworth? What is the role of nature in our life? Is this poem relevant today? So these are a few questions. If we answer them first, then we will be able to easily cover this unit, this poem, The Daffodils. So poem and poetry, though very difficult to define, and it is quite debatable, and there are lots of definitions and argument about defining a poetry and poem and what a poem is and what is not. But for you people, a poem is the opposite of prose. Prose is common writing which you do in your essay or novel, or you find in lessons, in newspaper, etc. That is prose. Poetry is different from prose. Poetry you find when there is a song, suppose you listen a song, or other recitation of poetry during speeches, etc. In poem you are having rhyme scheme, the same words at the end of each and every line, and you are having rhythm. Now rhythm is quite difficult for non-native speaker because it is the combination of stressed and unstressed syllables. Now for you people, we have to define what is a syllable and then which one is stressed and which one is unstressed, so that is a very long lengthy thing. So just make it simple that poem is different from prose. It is having beautiful language, beautiful sound in that lines, and having rhyme scheme and rhythm. Okay, now what is a stanza? When you are writing an essay, you write paragraphs. A paragraph is a combination of many lines while supporting a single idea, a single thought. So in poetry, when the poet is writing poetry, he is writing stanzas instead of paragraph. So stanza is also a group of lines supporting a single idea. So that is stanza. And now, who was William Wordsworth? So William Wordsworth was a British poet, and he is known as the poet of nature. He was born in 1770, and he belongs to the Romantic age. And he has written many poems. The Prelude is one of his famous poems. Similarly, Tinton Abbey is one of his very famous poems. And this, The Daffodils, is also very beautiful and interesting poems. And he has written many poems. He is actually supporting nature in his poetry. What is the role of nature in our life? So nature can have lots of advantages for us if you think critically about it. So there are lots of benefits from nature. But from Wordsworth's point of view, nature gives you pleasure. It pleases you because in the end of the poem he says, and then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. So in this poem he says at the end, it means that nature gives lots of happiness to William Wordsworth. Nature can teach you humility, to be being humble can teach you discipline and many things. And beside that, it has charm and beauty to this world as well. It beautifies our surrounding. Then is this poem relevant today? Yes, this poem is very much relevant today because we live in an age of global warming and climate change, and there is brutal cutting of trees. There is huge deforestation and desertification. So this poem teaches us to save nature, to save our life, and to save humanity. That is why this poem is very much relevant. Now coming towards the poem, there are 4 stanzas in this poem, and I have written its main crux. For the detail of this poem, you have to come to page 34 and read this poem yourself. And then if you face any confusion, you can definitely ask me in my WhatsApp. So in the first stanza, the poet is roaming here and there, and suddenly he sees a large number of golden daffodils. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils. And he continues like that. Very beautiful line to be recited. Then stanza 2nd, he says that those daffodils are in a never-ending line. They are in a large number. They are infinite. The poet sees 10,000 of them at a single sight. Now this is exaggeration. You cannot count the daffodils while watching at them. But the poet said 10,000 saw I at a glance. So this is exaggeration. And then in stanza 3rd, the waves of the lake and the daffodils both are dancing out of happiness, because those daffodils are grown on the bay of the lake. So the water in the lake and the daffodils, they are both happy and they are dancing. And in the 3rd stanza, when the poet lies in his bed alone, he reminds this sight and becomes very much happy. Now in this stanza, it is the effect of the sight of the daffodils on poet's mind. So we can also say that in the 4th stanza, he described the impacts or the effect of nature upon human being when he says that my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. So that was all about this unit. I hope you would have learned something, and if you have any confusion, kindly do ask me. Thank you very much.